Good morning, fellow option traders. This is Jeff, and welcome to the daily scan for Monday, February 3rd, 2014, brought to you from sunny Florida. All right, on tap for today. We could look at last week, but I'm not going to. I'm going to try to keep this short. I have a lot of things I want to cover. So we have at 8:58 the PMI Manufacturing Index. At 10 o'clock, the ISM Manufacturing Index, and then also at 10 o'clock, construction spending. So there's a lot of manufacturing and building announcements today. Oh, and we have motor vehicle sales, no time up here. But anyway, there's quite a bit on tap for today. All right, across the ponds, over in Asia, we are red across the board, and a pretty solid red. And same thing in Europe, pretty solid. Anything above 0.5% move is a pretty solid move. And that forebodes a possible, we might be in a correction right now. Let's take a look here in the U.S. futures. We're seeing red across the board on the major indices. This is the Dow and the S&P and the NASDAQ and the Russell 2000 right here. Gold did dip below 1245. I didn't broadcast on Friday, and I didn't know that it had done that. Well, I guess I did know. I just didn't pay a whole heck of a lot of attention to it. And oil's at 97.20, but on the trip to Florida, I don't think I paid more than maybe $3.27 or 28 a gallon, which I guess is I've been, so accustomed to paying over $3 that anything in the lower threes is good. I have a squeaky chair. Anyway, anything in the lower threes is no good, rather than upper twos. So that's the way they do it to you. They just do it gradually, and then they'll do a bump up, and then they'll pull back a little bit, and you'll feel good about it. And then they'll do another bigger bump up, and then a pull back, and you'll feel good about it. That's how they, I guess you could say, get you to get used to paying higher prices. All right, let's take a look at last week. Although I'm not counting this in my weekly totals, there was this Apple trade, and it's kind of funny because I did a debit spread on this where I paid $1.23 for it, and in theory, I guess in theory you could have made, could have sold it for $2.67, but I sold it for $2.50. It was flying all over the place that day. That was the day after Apple's earnings. So this was an earnings play. I'm not counting it because it's not part of the strategy, but that was a profit maker. And then last week, the only two, and I talked about those before, was Amazon and Google. I did not follow my rules, and I ended up panicking and getting out early. And this is where you have to work the system, and not even the guru or the inventor of the system always follows the system. So I guess you could say, don't feel bad if you don't, but really, really try hard. This is a lesson for everybody. Try very hard to follow it, because dag nubbit, it seems to work pretty well in most instances. So let's take a look first at Amazon. Okay, so we'll just zoom in here a little bit. This is when I entered. This is panic day, but you can see if you look at this particular day, we're still up on the stochastic but down on the MACD, and that's a little unusual. Usually the stochastic goes red first, but in this case the MACD went red first, but the stochastic was still green, so we should have stayed in the trade. And I would have gotten out on Thursday because I would have hit my profit target. And usually I look at if it's up 50% and it's the day before expiration, and especially at earnings, because this was an after hours earnings report, I would have gotten out for sure. And we were green that day. But, in the rules, I do state that you need to identify when you're going to exit. And if you're going to exit at a 50% gain, take the money and run. You're up. So if it's 60, 70, 80, it's pretty easy to figure out exactly what those levels are, and you can just get out. So that would have been a profitable trade, and it's almost an identical story on Google, except Google had better earnings. But here it is, the day that I entered, the day that I panicked, and you can see we have the same situation here, very strong stochastic and a MACD that went red. And then the next day a really nice bump up before earnings, and I would have exited that day. Instead I panicked and got out for a slight loss. So here's the numbers right here. This is the Amazon trade. Let me bring that over a little bit. The Amazon trade, I lost 10 cents, and the Google trade, I lost 13 cents. I'm not counting that Apple in here because this is only for CSSv2. All right. Another thing I wanted to show you, and on my little memory problem, I'm not sure if I mentioned this to anybody or not, but here's the way that I fixed it, and I have not had a problem since. I did send an email to Thinkorswim, and they said, bump up your memory for the application. So all I did was go in here. I'm not sure if I showed you this before or not, but I went in here and I moved this up. I think it was 32, and I moved it up to 64. And this one I moved up to 1024, and I have not had a problem since then. All you got to do is on your login screen, just go in here and click on the configure, and you get this dialog box. And you can choose, if you want the black, gray, or whatever backgrounds, and then your font size. Don't mess with anything else. Okay. So I think I might have mentioned that on Thursday. Thursday seems like as though it was a year ago right now. All right, we're in charts. We're on the A+ list. Let's rock and roll. I have a sense that we are in a correction. Okay, so Apple, we're in a downtrend, so now we're looking for let's do our little target thing. We're looking for something up here now, because we are in a downtrend. Don't know if that trend is going to continue. It's a strong stock. I don't know. If it doesn't, it's not very often that Apple gives us a red 50. And you can see as we slide back here in the previous history, we did actually get a red here. Did we ever really get an entry? Here's a solid green up. Get in on this day. That one may or may not have worked out, because it would have told us to stay in. Depending on what day we picked, I'm getting more and more in favor of if you're getting in on Thursday, go ahead and do a Friday expiration. But we would not have gotten in on Thursday. This is Friday, and I may have taken a pass on it. just because probably not going to trade very much on a Friday because that forces me to hold over a weekend. And the more I play with this system, the more I think I don't really want to hold for a weekend. Yeah. There's a negative trend, a very nice one, and a lot of opportunities here. Yeah. And they're only staying in a couple of days, you know. So there were opportunities there. But anyway, let's get back to the present. We're looking for a target up here. Let's jump over to Amazon. Amazon was quite a surprise. I would think that if anybody was going to make it through earnings intact, it would be Amazon. But the surprise is Google. For right now, anyway. We'll see what happens to some of the others as we go through this list. So there's nothing here. We have to wait to see what's going to happen. Boeing got smacked too. It sort of feels like the Broncos here. Man, I don't know what happened to them. You know, I mean, if I was for any team in the Super Bowl, it would be the Broncos, I guess, because I have a son that lives out in Denver, and I worked out there, and I have some friends out there, so I know a lot of people in Seattle. I worked there for quite a while too as a consultant, but I don't know the Seahawks very well. So I was sort of cheering for Denver, and I was shocked. I mean, the very first play from scrimmage just kind of told the story. Anyway, enough about that. We're really talking about CSSv2 here. And there is nothing. We have to wait for Boeing to mature. Baidu, they think they don't have Baidu's earnings nailed down. Of course, being I think it's a Chinese company, so we're just not real sure about when their earnings are, so just staying away from that one. There's no direction there either. Here we have a change of direction in Celgene, so we need to wait for that one. Chipotle must have had a good show. And only beat by a penny and a half. So now we're going to be looking for something down here. We need uninterrupted red down and then a pop, because we are green here. All right, Costco. Actually gave us what we were looking for here. Yep, that would have been an entry, and it would have been a good one. Could have taken that one, but now we have to wait for the next one, so we'll just move this over and hope we get a solid run up on the green here. CVX. We are red, but we didn't get a green up. So this isn't even anywhere in our future right now. Igor, nothing going on there. Still should look at an iron condor for them or something. FedEx. Oh, let's see here. We have a February calendar at 120 on FedEx. Let's move this over a little bit. We're still looking for that. Don't like the way the price is acting here, though. I would much rather see it actually moving up instead of just staying flat. But it doesn't always work the way that I want them to. Isn't that funny? Anyway, okay, Okay, gold here. We're looking, let's put a target in up here. We'll be looking for it to come up there with a solid green and then give us an entry. Google. Well, gold is in a downtrend, right? Let's just make sure that I looked at everything. Yeah, we're still in a downtrend. All right, Google. Okay, we missed out on that one. Now we have to wait. Let's put a target in down here. And let's delete this one. That would be our next entry opportunity. IWM. We have a March calendar at 105 on that. Nothing coming up. Just waiting for that to see if there's going to be a trend change or not. Okay, so we have a setup here on LinkedIn. We have earnings coming up. Let's see, today is the 3rd, so we have a couple days on this. So here we have one setup. Okay, that's one. MasterCard, we might be rolling over on MasterCard. I'm just going to wait. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me at this time of the morning. I'll do that later. Just let me get through this. 3M. We have a rollover on 3M, so we'd like to get this down here. How'd their earnings go? They did pretty good. I'll tell you, everything seems to be overbought, wouldn't you say? Nothing happening on 3M yet. There's nothing exciting there. Alright, Netflix, going through the roof here. We're still waiting to get our target. We'll just slide it down over here someplace and hope that we get to it. Priceline. We are in an uptrend, so just a new uptrend. I like to have a full cycle on this yet before we jump into anything. So I'll just take these out of here. Russell should look a lot like IWM, and it does. See, this was bad, you know, and I think when price gets below the 50 and it hasn't changed over, it hasn't changed colors, or if it gets above it and it hasn't changed colors, so we'll wait for a cycle just to make sure that it really is doing what it says it's doing. SPX. Looks like we are in a new downtrend, so I am going to put a target up here. Oops. I already got that. Just go ahead and draw it, Jeff. Oh, man. Sometimes I have to wonder about myself. Yeah, we'll see if we can get up here. If we're gonna have a bad day today, we may have a hard time getting up to the 80 here. Tesla. Yeah, we could have gotten in. That would have been a good trade. We didn't. Did not pull the trigger here. It would have been on this day, and it would have been successful. And then Visa. I have to seriously pull the trigger on these things. Getting in on this day and then sweating it out. It did the same thing here as Amazon and Google did, and then shot up. Was this This was before market, so this would not have been smart. Okay, that's it for the scan for today. Remember I promised you a class picture? So when I got down here, I held a class on CSSv2, and I wanted to show you a class picture. And here it is. And you can see that every one of my students, I'm over here, obviously, right? Every one of my students is intensely listening and hanging on every word. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and happy trading.